Karen Conrad serves as Director of Marketing for Andrew Womack Ministries. She is a teacher, an author, and maintains a successful real estate and home staging business that has been featured on the Lifetime Television Network. Welcome to Living with Karen Conrad.
Hi, and welcome to Living with Karen Conrad. This week I am teaching on the effective entrepreneur. That is just such a part of my heart. I love being an entrepreneur and I love helping entrepreneurs. And so we've been talking about the blue ocean strategy, which is actually based on a Harvard Business article. And it's really a way for you to approach your business in a way that makes the competition irrelevant. Doesn't that sound awesome? And I have several examples that I've been sharing and I'll continue to share with you this week. One of the premises of the teaching this week is just to really encourage you that, we have the Spirit of God, okay? We have got Him helping us. We have all the wisdom of God right inside us. So when we actually look at things in the business world, really or in any of the 7 mountains, and we want to find an edge to compete, it's good we bring in natural information, meaning business training, training like the blue ocean, but then we bring in the spiritual aspect as well, because that is what brings the two together. Like God gives us an edge, right? It's really unfair, but it's a good unfair. Because when we become born again, we have the Spirit of God in us. And of course, He's the creator of the universe. He knows all things. I used to just share with the kids that I would teach, sometimes when you're teaching children's ministry, people come in and they have all these weird ideas about who God is. And, they're just trying to figure things out. And one of the hardest things for kids that I learned is just to actually extend trust towards God, to know that God actually knows better than we do, right? And so what I would say is that, well, if God created you and God created me, and God created the universe, and God created the earth, and God created this world, do you think He might have some idea of the way that it might work the best? So I'm kind of saying that to us today. It's like, God knows the answers to all of this. And so let's bring Him in and really help Him, or have Him help us to find that blue ocean strategy in the area of your business. So just a really quick recap, the blue ocean strategy, again, is a strategy that comes in and creates new demand, okay? It's not trying to pull from existing demand, it's creating new demand. Versus the red ocean strategy, which is a very crowded market. And then if you are going into a red ocean and approaching the industry that way, you go in and you have to pull customers or really come in and compete against many competitors. And usually what happens in that case is we compete based on price or distribution channels. And so when we find that niche for us with that blue ocean, it really clears the way for us to be successful right from the start. And who doesn't want to start a business and start turning a profit right away? I know I do. That's how I like to work. So just continuing on with the blue ocean, we talked about some of the ways to apply the blue ocean strategy. The first one we talked about is never use the competition as a benchmark. Instead, make the competition irrelevant by providing a leap in value and reducing costs. And of course, a great example of that is a Model T. The second one is reduce your costs by also offering customers more value. So the example that I used here is Cirque du Soleil. So Cirque du Soleil, I'm sure you're familiar with that, but basically if you look at where that came out of, it sort of came out of a combination of the circus and the theater, okay? So back during the circus times, where we still have some of the circus, it's just not near as big as it used to be. There was a lot of issues that they were beginning to run into that actually made traveling around the United States to do live circuses very cumbersome, expensive, expensive, margins were getting tight. And if you think about it, they had a lot of animals that they were bringing around, and there was animal rights and just the cost of feeding and hauling the animals, just the fuel costs. But also there was a lot of circus stars that began to be very expensive. You might even liken that to some of the movie stars today, that they would demand a lot of money to be part of the circus. So if you look at what Cirque du Soleil did, I'm sure there's a lot of things they did, but the things that I was looking at that I pulled out that was really blue ocean is they made it so that they don't have to travel around with animals. There's no animals in the Cirque du Soleil performances, okay? And where they are today has grown immensely, where they have dinners. I know they're in Las Vegas and all those things, so it might not be that same value that it was several years ago, but they did bring that niche, that blue ocean strategy out. The other thing, if you notice, is there are no stars with that. So like the circus used to have big stars that were expensive. The Cirque du Soleil, they're all in costume, they're in makeup, so there really are not individuals that could rise to the top and be the stars in the show. So that's a really good example of reducing the cost of all the travel, animals, the stars, but also creating more value for customers because they were able to do it in the same space, not have to move around, probably more comfortable, and they added dinners and those types of things. There's a lot of examples right in front of us of blue oceans. So let's talk about the taxi cab industry. So when I would land, of course, all of us have used taxi cabs, but just getting to the Washington, D.C. airport, for example, and I would need to get a ride from that airport over to the conference center, and it was extremely expensive. Safety sometimes wasn't always there. I might be a little uncomfortable with the situation. Nobody really knew what cab I was in, that type of thing. And here comes Uber. And they are in the taxi cab space, right? But they have found a way to reduce the costs and add more value. And it's amazing. So now when we land, people are like, well, we'll do an Uber. So they really created a new demand, a new space that caused the competition to be irrelevant. So we'll talk about a lot more examples, but I think those are really good ones to share with the added value. So with the blue ocean, it is not about technology. Often the underlying technology is already in place. It just needs to be linked to buyer value and lower costs, okay? So if we just take the Uber technology that we were talking about, taxi cab, it did not take new technology. They have a great system to be able to call and to order and to get your name in the, I'm not sure what they call it. But anyway, so when you call, they know who you are, and I think you get rated and things like that. So that part is new. But the underlying technology with the vehicle was already in place. They just found a new way to apply it that created the new demand. You do not need to venture into distant waters. Most are created within the industry, not outside the industry. So we talked about the example with toothpaste, and that was a great example of what would appear to be a red ocean. And here's this is the worksheet that we use. So basically, you've got the red ocean, which is very crowded, okay? So when we talked about the toothpaste example, we might have, Crest, Colgate, Arm & Hammer, on and on and on. And then over here with the blue ocean was Sensodyne, or maybe Tom's Organic. And so while it was a red ocean industry, okay, they were able to find a way to create a product within this blue ocean that made this competition irrelevant. All right, let's think of another example. How about fast food places? So you might have McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken, all those. If you look at those, most of them are fried food or fast food, hamburgers mainly. And so it's a very crowded market. But then came Subway, right? So they took the underlying technology of serving people quickly but they created a blue ocean where it was actually very healthy. Remember, they had the whole campaign where the guy was losing weight. And then the next example I use is there is a company that their whole premise is they might create subs similar to Subway, but their whole premise is that it's freaky fast, okay? And of course, that's Jimmy John's. So they took the underlying technology of a Subway sandwich and they added more value to it by making it really, really fast, all right? I'm sure there are so many things right now that you're thinking about companies that have examples of red ocean and blue ocean. Another one would be laundry detergents, all right? So if we just think about that, the red ocean, we've got, again, you've got Tide, we've got Cheer, we've got Arm & Hammer. There was all these laundry detergents. It really wasn't an industry that I would say needed more competition. But using the premise of organic and natural, there's companies that came out and created laundry detergent that were natural, right? And so another technology that just came out now is they mix the fabric softener in with the detergent, okay? So it wasn't that wasn't out there. It's not like they just did something completely brand new, but they looked at the technology that was in place. Okay, these products were already existing, and they found a way to merge them to bring more value to the customer. Those are examples of blue ocean. So if you're looking at a red ocean versus a blue ocean, here are some things that a red ocean has. These are some of the attributes of a red ocean. You compete in existing market space. You beat the competition, all right? You have to exploit existing demand. You make the value cost trade-off, okay? So usually what happens is you have to lower the price, and so you're gonna probably give up value. And you align the whole system of a company's activities with a strategic choice of differentiation or low cost. So a lot of times what you'll see out there is you'll find maybe a product or a service that's really hit the market, and they have been unique. They've been in that blue ocean. And then they'll be purchased eventually by a very large company. And then when that large company purchases it, often what I will hear is I'll be like, you know, it's just not as good as it used to be. Well, why is that? That is because they are now competing with that product in a red ocean. And the only thing that they can generally compete with is to lower the cost, which also often lowers the value, okay? So there are blue ocean ideas that can come into the market, get purchased, and then all at once it's just not as good as it used to be. And that's because the competition is caught up, and now guess what? They're competing as a red ocean. The only thing that they can do is try to find a way to squeeze that price to keep the margins there. Now let's flip that to the attributes of a blue ocean. A blue ocean, you create an uncontested market space, right? You make the competition irrelevant. You create and capture new demand, and you break the value cost trade-off, okay? So you don't need to lower the price or reduce value. You can break that through this strategy, which, you know, really is a win-win. It makes you feel really good about what you're offering because you're giving people value. And in this situation with the blue ocean, you align the whole system of a company's activities in pursuit of differentiation and low cost. The red ocean was differentiation or low cost. This is and low cost. It brings it together. So let's talk about another example of a blue ocean. So I'm going to show you something here, and I will make this available to you online so that you can download this. Go to KarenConrad.net. And this is something that's called the scientific method process, okay? So when you are looking at a blue ocean, this is literally something that you can sit down with you and your team, and you can walk through the process of testing and pursuing a blue ocean. What I'm giving you here is a way for you to, a tool, a system for you to create a blue ocean in your industry. So we've got, the first thing that we do is we make an observation. I'm going to give you an example of this. We make an observation, we ask a question, okay? We make a hypothesis, then we conduct an experiment, and then we draw conclusions and we report our results, all right? And then when you get down here to report your results, you will see, did it work, did it not work? And if you need to do some adjusting, you go back to the top and you run it all the way back through. All right, so for me to learn, I always need to see something that's an example, and then it allows me to get behind that thought process so that I can follow it and apply it to my own business. So what I put together, and again, you can download this, is I put together an example of taking an idea through a scientific method process, okay? Remember we said that it starts with making an observation. So I'm going to take you through my little story here, okay? So the first step is making an observation, and again, this is in pursuit of locating that blue ocean within my industry or my business. So the observation that I made, and this has to do with my dog, Bolo, who actually was 17 and he passed away about a year ago. We love Bolo. But this is like, for me, I thought I should have invented Doggy Vacay because I went through this whole thought process. So the observation is, I dread every time that I have to go out of town because Bolo cries going to the kennel. And they do not let him out of his stall except to go to the bathroom, and it's so expensive. I do not want to ask my parents to take him again. It is just too much to ask of them, and they are not used to having a dog. Okay? So this isn't rocket science. I just made an observation. Do you know a lot of the best businesses, the entrepreneurial businesses, are birthed out of us facing a problem or understanding that there's got to be a better way to do things. So I use this example because I lived this. I would just dread taking Bolo to the kennel. He cried. He was just crazy after I picked him up and barking, barking, barking. It was traumatic for him, but what do? You don't want to put your parents out again. So that was my observation. So then the next step that we go through is to ask a question, okay? So ask a question. I wonder if there is a better way to help pet owners when they go out of town. Something that feels like home and not an institution for Bolo. Okay? So my observation was I am really struggling every time I go out of town with the situation with my dog. Okay? The question is, I wonder if there is a better way to do this. Now, I want to challenge you. Let's think about your business, okay? Are you in a red ocean? If you're in a red ocean, or if you're going to start a business, start asking these questions. If you're passionate about an area, or you're just dealing with something day to day, or like I did with Bolo, every time that I would go to vacation, that would just be like this really challenging thing for me. Make an observation, ask a question. The next step is make a hypothesis. So here's an example of that. I think there are people that love dogs and would like to get paid to take care of dogs in their own homes, like daycare for children. What else is out there that's like this? How about vacation rentals? It used to be where you would go to hotels and you would rent from hotels, and then all at once someone had this same question. Boy, I would like to feel at home when I go on vacation, right? And they birthed this blue ocean of vacation rentals, and now it's kind of rebirthed again with something called like an Airbnb. That started with an observation. That started with something that the industry or overall people were struggling with, and they thought, I wonder if there's a better way to do this. So the hypothesis with this is, you know what? I bet there's people that love dogs and would love to get paid to take care of dogs. So the next item is to conduct an experiment. So here's what that would look like. I'm going to ask my friends and family that love dogs if they would be interested in earning money to take care of dogs similar to child daycare, and I will start with my dog. So notice I was no longer looking at my parents or my family or friends and like, oh my goodness, I'm going to put them out. But I looked at it different and I said, oh, which one? Who are the people that I know? What friends absolutely love dogs, okay? And then present them with this experiment that if I paid you and Bola was in your home, okay, would this potentially be a business? So then from that point, you draw conclusions. So we made an observation, we asked a question, we make a hypothesis, we conduct an experiment, and then we draw conclusions. So here's the conclusions that I learned. If people love dogs and could be sure that the dogs were safe, had their shots, and it was presented as a business opportunity rather than a favor to help me, people were really open to doing this and taking care of Bolo. I learned that the dogs enjoy having each other around, and that when I picked up Bolo, he was much less stressed out. I learned that I was much more relaxed on vacation, and I really liked getting pictures of Bolo while at the house so that it would add it as a standard. Okay, so this is a lot of conclusions that I packed in here. But the observation was, first of all, it was challenging to drop the dog off at the kennel. I asked the question, I wonder if there's a better way to help pet owners when they're faced with the same situation. I made a hypothesis. I think there are people that love dogs, that would love to have dogs, and if they got paid, potentially this could help them to earn business, keep them at home, and really get around this whole kennel idea, right? And then I decided that I was going to go ahead and conduct the experiment. I'm going to ask my friends and family that love dogs if they'd be interested in earning money. And then I drew the conclusions, okay? So when I actually discovered this for Bolo, one of the things that I learned is that I got pictures, okay? They sent me pictures of him at their house. So that is a little added value that is very typical of a blue ocean. So when I was in Florida, for example, and I'm on the beach and there's the ocean, I would get a text message and here was a picture of Bolo in the backyard or with the other dogs or on a walk, and I would just feel so good about it. And so it was like, my goodness, that's amazing. So this whole blue ocean with the doggy daycare not only was less expensive for me, remember, a lot of times when you find this blue ocean, you lower the cost and you bring up value, okay? So we lowered the cost where there's not the overhead in the house of all the employees, all the buildings for a kennel. It's actually going to their own house, okay? And so they were doing well. They're home anyway. They're taking care of their dogs anyway. What's bringing in 2 or 3 more dogs, right? And then to get that picture on vacation, understanding that it's stressful for pet owners to leave their pets with a stranger, they took care of that through sending me a text message with a picture. Let me ask you this. How much does it cost them to send me a picture of Bolo while I'm on vacation? 0. And that's one of the things you'll see about a blue ocean. You're able to add value to things without spending the money. I shared this on an earlier program, but I'll repeat it. One of the things that Levi does for his homeowners, which you would think is just nothing, but most people don't do this, is when he would get done with a job, he would send a picture to the homeowner or to the property manager or to the real estate agent that he was doing work for, and he would show them the finished work. Remember where that tree was? Remember that stump that you wanted me to remove? Here is a picture of me completing that. And then here's another thing that I would do with staging, is if I'm working on a house and the homeowner's not there, if it's for a flip person, when I'm done, I just take my iPhone, I walk through the house and I narrate it. Okay, what did that cost me? Absolutely nothing. So I take the homeowner or the guy that I'm working for that does flips. I take a video, I let him know, okay, in this room, I brought the sofa in, I used, yellow and turquoise for this reason. Here's the kitchen. So they can see all the work that not only their construction workers did, but they see the finished product. They're sitting at home or on another job, and I bring peace to them and value, and they know, you know what? That is taken care of. I do not need to be concerned about this property. It is taken care of. There are little things like that, you guys, that we can do to add value that will completely set you apart. Okay, so we drew the conclusions and so report your results. We made an observation, ask a question, make a hypothesis, conduct an experiment, draw conclusions, and report your results. So this is what I wrote in this little example. This is a viable opportunity to apply a B&B along with daycare idea to pet dogs. We found that there are some hurdles to overcome, okay? We found out that scheduling had to be dealt with. We had to vet the people that wanted to become the pet caretakers because that would ruin a business pretty quickly if someone had, a doggy daycare and they didn't treat the pets well, right? So you have to protect your branding, and so you have to go through a screening process. Payment portals were something that need to be dealt with, ensuring the dogs have vaccinations and no history of biting. We have to keep all the dogs safe and more, for example. Suggest to move forward with similar model Airbnb, VRBO, etc. So did it work? That's a question. Did it work? Yes, it worked. So I've got all the questions that were in the scientific method here. I gave you examples using a business that we're all familiar with so that we can learn. And then I've got a template that's included in this download that you can begin to uncover your blue ocean through the scientific process. So, okay, our time is up today. I want to thank you so much for joining me. We will continue with the Effective Entrepreneur tomorrow. God bless you. Thank you for joining me this week for The Effective Entrepreneur. I hope you have enjoyed this series. Do you know, my passion is helping people to bring their vision to reality. And I believe God has called so many of us to be entrepreneurs, and there's just not a lot of training out there sometimes in the kingdom of God on how to move forward with those ideas that God has given you. And that's what this series is all about. I want to encourage you that if you are starting a business or you have a business that's maybe hit a ceiling, this series, the Ignite series, is really a strong series for you. The whole reason that I put this together is I wanted to provide tools and templates to help you to actually build your business. So we start out with Ignite Your Vision, then we go to Ignite Your Marketing and Ignite Your Results. So all the tools that I've learned over my over 30 years in business and leadership have been poured into this series. So if you are looking to start a business or to grow your business, go to my website, KarenConrad.net, and purchase the Ignite series. Also, I've given you several free downloads this week. So just go to my website, click on subscribe, or go to the store and find the free downloads, and I'll be giving you the information that I covered this week. So thank you again for joining me. God bless you.